This is the Horse Radio Network. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the Stable Scoop Roundtable tonight in cooperation with AHP. I'm going to wait for a couple more people to pop in here live before we get started. Post your name and where you're from in the comments down below, and all the panelists will be able to see the comments. By the way, panelists, you can see the comments on the right, their little comments tab. So you guys can watch the comments coming in. We want to know where you're from and what your name is. And then tonight, if you have any questions or comments for the panelists, or you have any comments about the topics we've picked for tonight, you can post them in there, and we'll see if we can read them as well. So once we start getting some comments, I'll know you guys can hear me, you can see me, that all is working well. We'll officially get the show started. Oh, there's, look who is in the house. American Horse Publications. She never misses. Chris is always here. Hi, Chris. Good to see you. We have Ariel here from Fort Wayne, Indiana. We have Carrie from Washington. Good to see you, Carrie. Thank you for stopping by. We have a good panel tonight. I'm excited. This is the last Stable Scoop of the year. We started this show 2008. So we got a lot of years doing this. All right, we see a bunch of people coming in. So I am going to get started and welcome everybody. Post your name and where you're from so that all the panelists can see where you're at. Here we go in 3, 2. You know, it helps if I hit record. 3, 2, 1. This is episode 528 of the Stable Scoop Show on the Horse Radio Network. It's the Horse Radio Network's Equestrian Roundtable Show in coordination with American Horse Publications. Our sponsor this episode is Green Flower Botanicals. I'm Glenn the Geek, founder of the Horse Radio Network and host of Horses in the Morning, the longest-running daily horse podcast in the world. And this is the Equestrian Roundtable. So what happens is we invite a couple people from over at the American Horse Publications to stop by, and they're usually journalists or photographers or involved in the horse media world in some way. And then I also invite either a host from the Horse Radio Network, one of our 21 shows, or we invite a listener to stop by. So it's one or the other. And tonight we have one of our terrific hosts. So we're going to be talking to her and meeting her in just a second. I'm your moderator. I will have opinions occasionally, but this is really their show. So they pick the topics, and we're going to have a little fun tonight, too. It is about Christmas time, so we don't want to get too serious. So if you're watching live, welcome. If you miss any part of tonight's show, we will be posting this on the Horse Radio Network All Shows feed, and also the Stable Scoop podcast feed. You can just search for Stable Scoop on your podcast player. And this is my third show of the day, so if I mess up and say things backwards or just totally conk out, you'll know why. So that's let's get to introducing our guest tonight. I've known this first person for many, many years. She has come on our show. We were just talking about it. She did trail tips for us on trail riding, we think 10 or 11 years ago. So Heidi is here. Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
It's awesome to be here. Yes, that was a very long time ago. We had a good trail riding series.
And it's Melocco, right? Heidi?
Melocco, yes.
Melocco. So Heidi, you're from where? Colorado, right?
Yep, I live in Colorado, grew up in Ohio, but moved out here to work at Horse and Rider in 2001.
And you're a writer, you're a registered path instructor and a photographer.
Yes.
You also help out with wholepicture.com.
Yes.
We're going to talk about...
Yep.
So we'll talk more about that later. I want to find out more about Whole Picture later on. But you've been around the media side of this world and the marketing side for a long time.
Yes. I guess.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Thank you.
And I like your sweater.
Thank you.
Look, we kind of match.
Yes, with the little green and elves and Santa's.
All right, everybody watching at home, do you like my bad sweater? We got a comment. Oh, your sweaters are great. Whoever that was, that, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. So our second guest tonight is also an AHP member. She's managing editor and graphic designer at Trafalgar Square Books. We have Rebecca with us, and I never say her last name. Go ahead, Rebecca. Give us your last name.
Didier.
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 Didier. I can never get that name.
It's because your French was bad. Your French was bad.
I flunked French for 3 years, and a bear is French. My last name is French, so there's that. But now you and I have known each other for just as long as Heidi and I have.
We've been corresponding in one way or another for a very long time. Yeah.
Yet I think, didn't we just meet for the first time in person this year?
We did in Dallas, and it was a joyous and amazing occasion.
Well, I know, fun. For me too. But we talk to so many people, and we get together, and I go, did we ever meet? Because it just seems like you know each other, after you've talked for so many years. Yeah. Of course, Trafalgar Square Books is the largest publisher of horse books, right?
Yeah, we're the one in the world, really. We do publish the most a year, and we've been doing it for 37 years now. So,
and where are you in the world?
Our offices are in North Pomfret, Vermont. They're based on a farm there, a working cattle farm.
And where do you live?
I live in Somerville, Massachusetts, which is basically Boston, right across the Charles. Yeah.
I lived in Beverly for a while and also Plymouth for a while.
Oh, well, then you know that my stomping grounds.
Yes, I do. I know the traffic in your stomping grounds.
I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
No.
Put it that way.
No, the first time, this is an insider thing if you've ever driven up there, the first time somebody passed me in the breakdown lane going 80 miles an hour, I freaked out because we didn't know they opened that up for traffic. And all of a sudden, people are passing you in the breakdown lane doing 80 miles an hour.
Oh, no, that's totally legit. I'm sure when you were here, you saw, so every year when the students move back in, somebody goes on either Storrow Drive or Memorial Drive, which moving trucks can't go on it. There are low overpasses, and they take off the top of their moving trucks every year, and you'll see just everything that they brought with them.
Oh, introduce who do you got there?
That's Rizzo. He will be back, I'm sure.
For those listening to the audio, Rizzo's a kitty cat, a gray one, and he has made several appearances so far tonight. He wants to be on the show.
Yes.
Well, one of our terrific host of the Equine Clicker 101 podcast, and somebody I've known all you guys a long time. That's Shawna Karrasch. Hey, Shawna, how are you?
I'm fantastic. It's nice to be here with everybody.
I forgot you had a yellow mic ball. I forgot it was a yellow one.
Is it distracting?
No, I just didn't remember that we had yellow ones.
It's like
it's festive.
It's festive. There you go. I normally have a red one. I got black tonight. So Shawna, you have what, 50 or 60 episodes of Equine Clicker 101 out?
50. Yep.
Yeah.
And soon to be more.
If you want to check that out, that is a show. You probably guessed by the title what it's about. Positive reinforcement, equine clicker, kind of makes sense. But go to episode 1 because it's the only show we've ever done in all the years we've done. We've done almost 13,000 episodes now. It's the only show that was instructional. You actually listen to the first part of it, and then Shawna gives you the second part as a lesson where you go out with your horse and you actually do it while you're listening. So you're actually with your horse while you're doing the instruction on the episode. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
And now you're doing a ton of clinics this year, too. And I want to talk about those a little later in the show, too, because I looked at your schedule and you got a lot booked. So, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we like to get to... Yeah, go ahead.
I'm writing a book, too, for Trafalgar. So we got that going on in the midst of it all.
Good. Well, I heard the editor over there is really tough. She will send it back 25 times. She's going to make your life hell. That's what I heard. I don't know. That's why I don't write a book. See, because I'd have to deal with Rebecca. It's like, oh. She's tough.
She doesn't make you say her last name all the time.
That's true. That is true. And they put out good books, and it's because they're tough. That's what makes a good publisher, right?
Someone has to crack a whip.
That's right. Well, what happens here is the guests actually pick the topics, although I picked one tonight because I picked the last one of the year. But Heidi, you picked the first one. Talk to us about what your topic is and what we're going to discuss and why you picked it.
So keeping horses at home is one of my passions. When we moved to this house 9 years ago now, we had horse property, but there was no barn or anything here. And so my husband actually works in the lumber industry and is an amazing builder. That's not his primary vocation. He's just very skilled at it. So he built the barn, and we studied where to put all the fences and how to have good turnout and all of those things. And so I guess I just love input on other people that keep their horses at home versus boarding, and the pros and cons of those things. I personally love it. I think I vote for keeping horses at home just to be able to check on them. I love to see what they're doing right outside the window, and when they start playing too hard, and when I need to go run out and throw some hay to just stop somebody from looking like they're going to run through the fence. They're playing so hard. But I think that I think there is a good debate there. You know, there's the social factor of being at a boarding facility and being with more people more often. And then there's the part where you can go out and do some little training techniques and things too throughout the day. So, and I'm getting a kitty knocking at the window here at me too. So pardon my distraction.
We haven't had a dog make an appearance yet. Usually one of those shows up at some point too.
Yeah, I locked her upstairs.
I've banished, my dog has been banished for the next hour.
Rebecca, have you done both with boarding and home?
With boarding? No, I have never boarded a horse. I grew up in a lucky situation of first being within walking distance of the barn where I was working, and then having, being in rural Vermont, having at least a small enough space where we could erect the paddock that nobody really knew how to build because my parents weren't horse people and I was a little girl. But I've always had horses in the backyard.
That's
and it's
awesome.
Interesting now as an adult and thinking about, I currently don't have a horse being where I am. And one of the reasons being that I can't imagine boarding. I mean, I also couldn't afford boarding here in
Right.
Boston, but having the commute be part of that experience, having the times of day narrowed, when I can choose to be with my horse, having that really controlled by the other responsibilities that I have in my life, having grown up always just having the horses be there, be part of it, having a constant finger on their pulse, almost literally. I don't know if I'd be able to board comfortably. I don't know if I could relinquish the control.
Right.
Nor the $2,500 to board in Boston.
Well, there's that as well. And the traffic, Glenn, the traffic.
Yeah, that is true. By the time you got out there, you'd have to turn around and come home. It's
I
like,
sure would. And husband would not be happy.
yeah. We're going to
when
talk
it's
about
dark.
that a little later. Shawna, you've done both, right? Home and
Yeah.
board. Yeah.
Yes, I have. And it's, when in California, you just board. Mostly that's what you do if I was in San Diego. So it wasn't an option and it wasn't great. Not the facility was great, but you didn't have any turnout really to speak of because that's just not what you have. So then I started working with John and Beezy and had, the horses were all there, but then went from there and had our own place. So built our own place and the barn and the house were actually attached, which was great.
Wow.
And then I traveled too much, so now we built a small enough barn that it was a 6-stall barn. So it wasn't a giant barn. So you're like, well, we were going to take 4 horses. Well, we only have 5. Now what do we do? It just became really complicated. So the traveling made it easier to come and go with the boarding. But for sure, kind of like you're saying, it's got to be the right situation, so finding something that's close enough and me doing positive reinforcement. I'm like, what do you mean they can't be at Liberty in the arena? That doesn't work for me. So I have a whole nother set of things that I kind of have to kind of think about as I choose a facility that fits. So right now where I am in Pennsylvania, we have them on the property. So I was there 20 minutes ago.
We've done both, and you're right. Travel's the problem. That's where you run into big trouble when you have them at home, unless you have a reliable babysitter that can come over. And if you're going away for a week or 2, or as Jennifer and I did 5 weeks, we did that 5-week road show this year where we took the RV and went, stayed at listener farms and stuff. Well, that's 5 weeks away from the horses a day to be taken care of. So, that wasn't cheap because we actually we brought them to a boarding stable, then.
Oh.
So that's how we did that. So we actually brought them over there rather than having somebody come over here because you can't really ask somebody to come over for 5 weeks. It's a long time.
There's a college kid out there, right?
I feel like the college kids are harder to find, or like those reliable, like I hurt my shoulder last winter and needed someone just to come help muck. And it was not easy to find kids that wanted to work. And I feel like an old curmudgeon saying that. But
Where are they? What are they doing?
where are they?
It's like all I
Don't they
did.
want to just come muck and be around?
If you're watching live, post in there, do you board or do you keep them at home? And we want to know. So post in there which one you're doing. And it's on small, you mentioned California, Shawna. We were invited out to go to Norco for a week, and we spent a week in Norco. Jamie and I and Jennifer did. And my God, they're keeping horses on very small places. I mean, they have half an acre with 5 horses on it.
Wow.
Dirt.
I can't imagine buying the hay there, what it must cost to feed those horses there with no turnout or no grass.
And Shawna, they still call it pasture, right? I've been out there and like, wait, you're what? And this thing, our pasture up the hill. And I just remember seeing this straight up the hill dirt. Absolutely nothing growing, but they called that the pasture.
Yes.
At least
Yeah,
it's turnout.
exactly.
At least it's turnout.
Yes.
I'll
There's
take that.
something.
Yeah.
We have comments here. Nicole says, I've done both. We have another user that says, I board, but I work off hers. And we owned a boarding stable for a long time, and we did have people that worked off their board.
Brave. That was very brave.
That's how when I met Jennifer, that was going on. So I came into the horse boyfriend world with a boarding stable with 20 horses in it.
Oh, right into the drama.
Yeah, I'm lucky I survived that, actually, to be honest. I don't know how anybody survives that.
When my ex-husband and I were going to build a barn, and I said, great, we can build it and, we could do boarding. He said, how many horses are the max you think you'd want? And I said, well, I don't think I could work with over 5. He said, we're building a 6-stall barn.
Which means you actually had 8. Which means you had 8. You have 6 stalls. You have 8 horses. That's the way it works. You guys can't trick us. We figured that out after a while. We figured, too, this way with a boarding stable is one person can successfully take care of about 7 horses. And then the work doubles. We figured from that 8th horse, the work doubles. Wow. And then you need help. And then every 7 horses after that, the work doubles. It just seems to work that way. It just seems to be a whole lot more work. Not one more horse work, a whole lot more work. So you'll always, the larger you get as a boarding stable, the more and more people you have to have. And, you think you're going to make more money, but in fact, you're just spending more too.
Right.
So,
and time dealing with issues that come up and things like that. That's what I don't miss. Definitely the drama of it. And I didn't intend to move my horse around so much before we moved here, but ended up moving just for little strange things that I couldn't put up with, or that were just, okay, that's safe and that's great for other people, but it just didn't feel right for us. But I will say though, on the neighbors and the leaving for 5 weeks might push my neighbors, but I am amazingly blessed to have neighbors on both sides. We all have 2-acre properties, and we actually put gates in to help each other and purposefully did that. So we kind of trade and go back and forth, and next door they have goats and chickens. And so I'll go over and help with those. And my daughter loves to go help there. Sometimes that's more fun than doing our own chores over here. So that's been awesome to know that if we do go somewhere, we're not having to have the whole hire a house sitter and are they okay? And do they know horses? And so I think that part of it, where you are and how big your property is, probably makes a huge difference too on whether you feel like you can travel with that.
Yeah, we're lucky. Our landlords live right here, so they usually take care. We didn't, they took care of one of the horses while we were away, and the other one went to boarding. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, even in that situation, right, where they live on the property, it's still a lot to ask if you're going away all the time. Do you think that's the biggest negative of having them at home?
The travel part?
Yeah,
I think that's that's a concern for me, probably. If just thinking, do I want to do that? Is everybody going to be home to help trade and take care? I think one thing, I love having them here, but sometimes because they are here, I forget to actually schedule time to do what I really want to do, because my horse time sometime is to go out and do chores and take care of them. So I've been with them, and then I need to come in and do my own thing. So sometimes it's being proactive to actually plan in when you're actually going to ride or do what you want to do, rather than just do the caring part.
Yeah.
We said that too when we had our farm. It was like we spent all our time taking care of the farm and the horses and not any time enjoying the horses. You know, it was work. You know, it is work. Fencing's always breaking. Something's breaking all the time when you have a farm, right? Mm-hmm. So you do have to force yourself. You have to say, okay, I'm going to take these 2 hours today and I'm not going to worry about any of that. It'll be there tomorrow, right? That, you know, those nails will still need to be put back in tomorrow, but today I'm going to play with my horses. And
right.
It's hard though, because those responsibilities are there.
Yeah.
The hay has to be put up, you know, you're getting more hay in and all of that has to be done and it all takes time. Well, you know, I always say in business that time is our biggest enemy. It's not money usually. You know, sometimes time is money, but time is your biggest enemy. Rebecca too. I mean, just in your business too. It's no matter what your business is or what pleasure stuff you do, your hobbies you have, time is the thing you don't have enough of.
I never have enough time. And, you know, we have so many things, every single step of publishing a horse book and promoting it and helping and supporting our authors I could easily triple the time that I put into each step. And there's no way that I can do that, obviously. So.
And Shawna, couldn't we say that about the time we spend with our horses? We could triple that too and not have enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when you're kind of doing what I do, you know, you have all these things that take you away from your own horses. So you kind of, you know, you're trying to think, oh, I got to write this and do this and check this and email this. And, you know, and so then you go, oh, day's done, you know, and you've really got not. So it's always a balance. I guess that's a big adult struggle is finding that time balance and how to keep everything a little, you know, time managed. It's hard.
Right.
Look at my sweater. I obviously forgot to do the adulting part, so I never got there.
Shawna, something I heard you say, though, about being able at a boarding facility to go work at Liberty or something. I think that is a huge plus. Like for me, my horses are my photo models if I've got a product to test or something like that. Like I love having them here, but to be able to go do what you want to do with them and also to make sure that the interactions your horses have with people are what you would do. I think that's huge from the training aspect. If you're working on something and then someone comes in to throw hay or move your horse because they need to put a bucket in and undoes something, then that can double your work on the other side of that.
I had my horse Minty. They were the horses that came from John and Beezy's. They were great. You could take them to we go to do, a barn to do a clinic and people would say, I'm sure you want us to feed when we feed. And then we'd be like, nope, they're fine. No. And they'd be like, and we come in like at 7, they'd be like, they didn't make a sound. And you're like, yeah, they don't know that routine. They just don't do it. And then the last, one of the places I was boarding in Northern California, the woman said, yeah, Minty was banging. So I made sure I fed him first. I said, oh yeah, that'll never happen again. And it was with good intentions. And you just had to go, oh, phooey, I can fix it, if I need to. But it's that exactly. They just aren't paying attention to the things that you do and not do. And then habits are coming out that you're thinking, what? And feed is so important to any horse's life. So to not be aware of what you're feeding, can turn into things you don't really want to see necessarily.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that topic, Heidi. Appreciate that. So we're gonna talk a little bit about our sponsor for this particular episode, and that's Green Flower Botanicals. And actually, I heard from one of the big bosses over at Green Flower. Let's take a listen.
Hi, this is Roger McCall. Flower Botanicals. Every day we're asked the same recurring question. How can I know if CBD is going to work for me? Well, did you know that CBD or cannabidiol has now been researched for its effects on over 50 medical conditions, including some of the most common conditions related to the health of your horse? It's amazing how this one little cannabinoid found in the cannabis plant has been responsible for nothing short of a revolution when it comes to natural medicine. Listen, it's safe, it's effective, and it's given to us by nature itself. And here's the truth. The only way to really know if CBD will work for you or your horse is to give it a try. And we want to make that very easy for you with our try and see money back guarantee. So right now you can go to greenflowerbotanicals.com and receive 20% off when you use code HRN. And here's the best part. Your purchase is backed by our promise that if you're unsatisfied for any reason, we will refund 100% of your purchase. So try some CBD today, totally risk-free, by going to greenflowerbotanicals.com, use code HRN at checkout, and receive 20% off your entire purchase.
And we want to thank Green Flower. Don't forget that all of our coupon codes for all of our sponsors, it's HRN across the board. So if you're not sure if one of our sponsors has a coupon, just try it. Try HRN and see what pops up. If there's no coupon, nothing will pop up, but you might get lucky and get 20% off. So Green Flower Botanicals, they've been a sponsor for quite some time, and we appreciate them. All right, Shawna is bringing the second topic today. Shawna, we're talking about horses during the winter. What do you do with them?
Yes. What does everyone do with them? I'm now in a place where it doesn't have an indoor. So we're subject to what the winter has and the cold ground and not being able to necessarily ride through the winter or, so the weather is a part of it. I think with the positive reinforcement training, it gives me a lot of options inside to do positive reinforcement things. I can work on retrieves and things that seem nonsensical, but are quite, they build a relationship and the relationship with the training, but it is a challenge, as I was thinking, I can train them to do things that dogs do. I'm going to teach them to retrieve and I'm going to teach them so I just kind of wondered what everybody does do and how do we manage with the winter time?
Heidi, you live in Colorado. You don't have any snow out there at all or bad weather at all.
Well,
No.
We actually don't. That's kind of a problem at the moment, other than a windstorm yesterday. But the temperatures have been going up and down, and I feel bad for them facing that. We've had some nights that are 10 degrees and then up to 50 during the day. But I just got a new horse. And so with him, I haven't been riding a ton, but just really trying to go out and do grooming and be with him and make sure that we're responding to each other, like taking hay out and those little kind of training moments that I feel are important. And maybe not that anybody did anything bad with him before, just like what I expect or for me wanting him to be able to be safe around my daughter. So we're kind of focusing on those things of not crowding your space or just small things that are going to be really meaningful, I think, for having a kid around him too.
What's your new horse? Tell us about your new horse.
His name is Mr. T. And I feel so excited about him. He is 15-3. He's a quarter horse Palomino and double registered. And he has been really successful in the National Versatility Ranch Horse Association. And so I'm excited to have he seems like a sweet, calm guy and tall enough for me and the same hair color.
You two match.
We match. I think he'll match with Savannah too. But because we do live on small acreage, it's been important to me, and it was hard to find a horse that Savannah and I could both ride. And I think he's going to fit the bill. He's got a lot of buttons. So it's going to be just teaching her to sit still and understand what her cues mean. So we've been riding some with her on lead line and just kind of shifting from her pony that she really had to cue hard to do. So just kind of some of the smaller things and doing some lead line things like that. But like I said, I can't really attest to full winter right now here because it's been pretty sunny, but
well, that's another disadvantage, I think, of small farms too, is if there could be no place to ride. So depending on what kind of neighborhood you live in, you could be stuck, right? So you got your 2 acres and that's it, which gets old, right? I mean, you have to hop in a trailer to go anywhere, and that's time consuming. I always said to go somewhere and ride for an hour seems to take 4, but that's the horse husband opinion. So I don't know. Rebecca, if there's a lot of places in Massachusetts that don't have indoors.
Oh yeah. Well, in Vermont, in the old days in Vermont anyway, you just pull the horse's shoes and they don't work during the winter time. They get turned out, it's time off. And then the spring is really fun when you get on for the first time.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I'm full of ideas simply because we publish books by people who have lots of ideas on this. I would say the first thing that comes to mind, things that you can do in the wintertime, the cat is so helpful right now.
It's all over.
I don't know if you all are familiar with Horse Speak, which is our author, Sharon Wilsey. She teaches you how to use your body language to both read what the horse is saying and then reply in ways that the horse would understand. So there are all kinds of things that you can do that's just learning to observe their body language, and then use your own body language to talk back and establish rapport. And these are, this is like, remember that phenomenon? I can't remember what it was. It was like in Norway, slow TV, right? Where you just watched that fire burning behind a glen,
right.
And it's supposed to settle you. Well, I feel like a lot of what you should really do with horses is slow TV. There's so many things that we should just have so much patience for, and winter in a cold place is the perfect time for it, because the other thing that I think of is we do Jim Masterson's book, Masterson Method. Do body work on your horse. It's not necessarily to accomplish anything in some grandiose picture. It's to build that connection. It's to make the horse feel good. It's just to spend time and not have a goal, which almost every time we interact with our horses, we're like, this is what we're going to get done today. This is the schooling plan. This is where I want to be by the end of the week. This is all to get ready for this show. And if you have seasons that actually control that impulse and make you just take a step back and just be with them in some way, I think that's what we've got to look at it as.
I got to tell you, when we lived in Pennsylvania, we had a big farm. When I first met Jennifer, it's 100 acres. And there, some of the most magical times I remember are right after it snowed. So you got 4 or 5 inches of snow, and, we were alone back there. It was 100 acres. And so we were alone, and she would get on the horse and I'd get my carriage out with the pony, and we'd go out together, with the bells on and the whole thing. And it was so cool. It's right after it snows. That's the magical time.
Yeah.
Just after.
Used to be bareback. That's bareback with just the halter and 2 lead ropes, because the horse is all furry because they're not clipped, and you just get on and like the snow's flying.
And the horse kept you warm.
Yeah,
so there was that.
Yeah, it's the best.
It was nice. I do have fond memories of taking the carriage out in the snow. It had to be the right amount of snow. Then you get a foot, it's too much. It was too much. I get stuck. But it was just that couple inches of snow when it was all pristine and hadn't gotten dirty yet,
Nobody peed on it.
That's right.
There's no yellow snow yet.
That's right. Cars hadn't gone down the road yet, all of that. That is a magical time. The other time that I really liked at winter was when it's really cold out and you've got all the horses in the barn for the night and you've closed it all down and it's still cold, but they're just starting to eat, and you turn off all the lights. For some reason, the sound of them eating in the winter was better than the sound of them eating in the summer. Absolutely. And I don't know why.
Absolutely.
I don't know why.
It's the cold air, and there was some science show about how and why, if it snows, you hear things differently. And I think that's true, that the sound just carries differently when the air temperatures, and especially if there's snow outside. But I agree. That's my favorite sound ever. Just to if I need to calm down, I'll just go throw some hay and listen to my horses eat.
Yeah, that's true. It is one of the most calming sounds. And then the not calming sound is when the snow comes off the bank barn roof and crashes down right after you've brought the horse right underneath it. That's not the calming sound that you want to hear.
Or the indoor. It always comes off the roof of the indoor when you're riding the 2-year-old.
Big ice sheets. Yeah. Or the buckets that freeze and you have to keep emptying them and emptying them and emptying them.
That's the one that I was going to bring up, because the barn was down the driveway, and the water pump would freeze in the winter. So I would carry hot water down from the house to the barn. And of course, after a while, the path through the snow, after many weeks, gets slippery. So you'd slip and the hot water would slosh over your boots, and then it would freeze, and then your sock is frozen and the water's all down your leg. And then you get there, and then you've got to take the bucket and do the stamp on both sides to get the ice out.
Get the ice brick out.
I do not miss that at all.
We used to stack them up, the ice bricks, the bucket ice bricks. We used to turn them upside down and stack them up, big pyramids. Yeah, exactly.
We did too.
The harder the winter, the bigger the pyramid got.
You're like, this is what I love. I love horses. This is it right here.
Yeah.
This is
And, you know, there are times in the winter when it's magical, and there's times in the winter when it just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just it seems to be extreme. So then winter's is an extreme, isn't it? Right. So that's what it's all about. Shawna, do you even have winter? We don't, obviously, but.
Well, now I'm in Pennsylvania, so we do.
Oh, yeah.
In San Diego, we really didn't. I mean, we were all wearing down jackets when it's 58.
Yeah, the same as us here in Florida.
Freezing.
I had to turn the air conditioner down to 68 so I could wear the sweater because it was like 80 today, and I was dying. So Jennifer said, "You're going to have to turn the air conditioner down. You're going to die in your studio." So, welcome to Florida. So, you know, part of this is brought to you also by American Horse Publications. You guys are members for how long? Long time, right? Both of you? Or all of you? Yeah, Shawna, remember? We sat together at dinner this year. Yeah. So, you know, we love American Horse Publications. It's really the place for equine media, businesses, media professionals, colleges, students, all of that. It's been around for over 50 years. If you're in any one of those categories, please consider joining. One of the best things we do is get together every year and we get to chat and talk and maybe have a drink or two at dinner. Maybe I did.
You're the only one, Glenn.
Yeah, nobody else there was drinking. No. But, you know, they do a lot of education things, and I just think it's really worthwhile. Anybody have anything to add to that?
It's amazing.
I think it's great. And the camaraderie and everything that goes with it, it's really a great opportunity to connect with people. And then you get to see the same people each year, you know, and there's something really nice about that because you're figuring out what everyone's done through the year and, you know, what's going on and what's new. It really keeps you connected, I think.
And it's a unique place too, because everybody there really, if you think about it, are competitors, right? They're different magazines. You're competing for sponsors. You're competing for all of that. But when you go there, that goes away. You're all helping each other, and it just kind of goes away because we're all in the same boat too. I mean, that's the other thing. We are in the same boat. We're all fighting the same battles. You guys are all fighting costs of printing and all of that stuff, you know, and I was very happy this year, Shawna, that I wasn't the only podcaster there. There were several. It was nice. I was feeling really lonely for a lot of years, but there are a lot more podcasters coming in too, and I'm really happy to see that. So let's talk a little bit about you guys individually quick before we go to the final question. Heidi, you also tell us about the company that you have.
So I founded marketing and PR, design, photography, kind of everything I loved, and just decided to call it the whole picture because it was kind of all of what I knew how to do. So everything I knew kind of fits into this. And I have a couple of amazing horsewomen that help me, and we help people with social media needs, marketing, design, photography, helping small businesses. Most are in the horse industry. And it's a lot of fun. So taking what I know how to do about building a story and creating it and kind of looking at what needs to be done for the ad side of things too. We just create whatever is needed and help guide small businesses into social media and anything that they need. So it's kind of fun to be able to write for the magazines and then also help design some ads that end up going somewhere near my articles as well. Not right beside them, you know, separation of church and state, but still just anything with that has been a passion of mine. I feel like can help other people too. And I love being able to write about things and do the photography and design and just get it out there and help people in the horse world.
Rebecca, what was the number one book at Trafalgar Square this year?
Horse Brain, Human Brain.
Yeah, really?
Oh yeah, it's in its, I want to say A3 printing. We've sold rights to 10 or 11 different countries. So it's being published in those languages. It's sold phenomenally, and it's a terrific book. It's incredibly engaging, and it definitely, while I think some of the information in it, maybe some people know intuitively, it's demonstrating the neuroscience behind it so that we understand what it is that the horse is experiencing. It's very different from what we're experiencing. We need that reminder all the time.
And Robert Dover's came out this year too. So
it just came out. Yeah, that was just released.
That'll be your number one next year, probably.
Yeah, I hope so. It's, he put a lot of effort into trying to make it more than just his story. He shares the lessons that he's learned along the way, and he's not afraid of acknowledging where he has gone wrong. And so that makes it for a really interesting read. Plus, he's lived an interesting life. So.
Yeah, he has. He's lived 12 interesting lives.
Yeah. That's more than a cat, right?
Yeah. And he's always been candid about everything.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I like about him. I got the book, and that's one of my plans for over the holidays here is that particular book. What's it called so everybody can find it?
The Gates to Brilliance by Robert
right.
Dover. Yeah.
So and if you don't know who we're talking about, he's like one of the top dressage people ever in the United States, and
six-time Olympian, former coach of the dressage team. Yep.
So you definitely want to, whether you do dressage or not, it doesn't matter with this book.
Oh no. His intent really was to reach anybody who is just looking to find a way forward with their life, with their goals. In addition, he also has, strong messages about being a gay athlete, really important subject for him. And, I think that it's such a positive book because every single chapter ends on this note of hope. So he brings that to it. We all need that these days.
He's done a lot of work too, for a lot of different athletes in the horse world through his foundations that he created, and it just has done a lot of terrific work over the years for that.
Yeah.
It's helped a lot of people. Yep. And Shawna, you of course, I wanted to, what I forgot? I wanted to have my clicker here tonight so I could click it. Jennifer has it somewhere. I don't have my clicker because I wanted to see what happened if I clicked for you. I wanted to see what you would do. So you have a lot of clinics coming up this year.
Yes, I do. I've kind of gotten out. I've been off the clinic circuit kind of for a while now. So now getting back out there and put the word out if people want me to come to clinics and they
are most of them positive reinforcement clinics?
Oh, they all are.
They all are.
So
okay.
They're all on positive reinforcement, how to utilize it for what they're doing and what their goals are and taking it to show people. And the knowledge has changed a lot, in the past 28 years. So there's much more awareness, way back when nobody knew anything. So now you have people who really do know, but there's still so many people to reach. So I'm doing lots of clinics now coming up. So it's great. And I love that part. I love being out there and watching people grasp it and put it together. So it's really fun.
My first co-host, Helena, did she have you at one or come out to visit you at one? Yeah.
Helena? Yeah. She came, I went and I stayed with her when I did a clinic up in Rhode Island. And then she had me on her podcast, and she's
Stall and Stable, by the way, on the Horse Radio Network. I had to get a plug in here.
Yes. And then I'm going to somebody named Chick Maynard, who's a author with Trafalgar Square, is having me come down. That's right. And do a clinic next month. So Helena's going to come down with her daughter, Grace. So they're going to be there at the clinic as well. So that'll be fun.
Well, I think it's going to be great. Helena's great. I mean, obviously, that's how this all started. The Horse Radio Network wouldn't be here if it weren't for Helena, because that's who I started with all those years ago. And her show is doing very well. It's called Stall and Stable. So if you can find that any podcast player. And apparently Shawna makes an appearance too at some point. Shawna makes appearances on a lot of our shows. Shawna has been coming on our shows forever and ever. All right. I picked the third and final topic. We're going to end on this. Do you ride or not on Christmas Day, and does a spouse approve? So I'm going to introduce my own topic here, because when I first met Jennifer, I was like appalled that you had to do anything with the horses on Christmas Day. It's like I was appalled you even had to feed him, because it was like, did you get a day off? I just, when we're first introduced to this, we really have no idea. And a lot of it is very shocking. And, there's a lot of guys that don't make it past that first year. And then some of us question it from then on. But, it's true. I mean, so Heidi, you're married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did he get all of this at the beginning? Was he a horse guy or not a horse guy? Or
He was not a horse guy, but very interested and willing to support that. So yes.
Even when you showed up late all the time for dates, and when you came in dirty, or you said, I'm going to go out to the barn for half an hour and see my horse, and came back 4 hours later, even in all those times?
Well, he goes fly fishing, so I feel like we're on a support each other's habits, and that's okay. So as long as I say, yeah, go fishing, that's great, then I feel like I have that even keel, I think. And I think that's what it should be, though, to support what each of you likes to do instead of making rules that...
I think there's a learning curve, though, in the beginning of every marriage, no matter what it is, whether it's horses or whatever hobby you have, right? There's still that learning curve and that little bit of jealousy thing that goes on for a while until you grow out of it and then don't care anymore.
I'm sure there were some bumps and bruises along the way to get to that, but yes.
Christmas, do you do anything with the horses on Christmas?
We don't. I think Savannah and I, having a younger child and kind of going through what Christmas means, like, my memory of the horses on Christmas with her is really getting the barn ready on Christmas Eve, and how cool that's been to, like, we make sure it's extra clean and we put down extra shavings and kind of talk about, like, what would it be like if Mary was in our barn tonight? Like, maybe I'm giving her strange things that's going to happen in our barn.
It was probably cleaner than the one she is actually in. Actually.
December 24th, our barn is really, really clean because we've done a lot of nativity story training. So,
does she leave milk and cookies for Mary too?
For Mary in the barn.
Mary needs more than milk and cookies.
Milk and cookies, yeah. Does she leave a midwife in the barn for? Yeah, that's right.
That I haven't supplied, but no. Christmas morning, I feel like the horses always have to be fed first before we do anything, and so we'll run out and do chores first so that we can get back in and do hot chocolate and presents. So that's been the only thing that's like, wait, we can't just do Christmas. Like, no, we need to make sure that they're fed before we do that. So that's maybe a little bit of a hindrance, but I might be a little bit more relaxed about that. They can wait till 8:30 or 9 now, but
do you have White
I
Christmas?
like to do that just so I can relax.
On average, how many years are White Christmas for you in Colorado?
Man, it doesn't seem like that many lately here. Usually our biggest month for snow is actually March into April. So that's when we get those heavy snows. But I've already seen in my Facebook memories that come up, like 2 years ago and 4 years ago, we'd already had some good first snows, but we have not had any this year. So that would be great to have a White Christmas, because I'm a little worried about next year's hay already.
What elevation are you at?
We're just on the Front Range, so we're not too high. So we're right at a mile high, probably here, maybe a little bit higher.
That's all.
But, yeah.
Rebecca, you're at what, 100 feet over there? I'm at less than that. I'm probably below sea level here in Florida. So
yeah, but we can see the huge mountains. We can see the 14ers from our house. So
I do love the views in Colorado. It's just so special.
Amazing.
It really is. Really is. So, Rebecca, did you guys do anything? Now I'm going to go back a little in time, but did you ride on Christmas Day, or was it a thing, or?
No. So I would say the only instance would be like what we were reminiscing about earlier, where if there was a fresh snow, and then I would jump on, or, maybe if I got something new from Santa, who happened to know that my pony needed a certain size halter or something, and then I'd have to play with it. But usually the horses got fed and it was considered a holiday for them too. We never did anything like intentionally.
So, are you married?
I am, yes, to a fly fisherman. No less.
No!
And I will tell you that they spend just as much time in one day out on a river as we might at a barn. So
just as smelly,
Stephen. Yeah.
That's right. They come back as smelly too. That's funny. So how was he with this whole horse thing when you first met?
So I, at the time, had access to a boyfriend horse, which isn't always the case. So my test, we were first dating. I don't know, maybe we'd gone out like 3 or 4 times. I was like, this guy's he seems cool, but he's got to be able to pass this test. And it was the horse where it was this great quarter horse where I could say, drop the reins and grab the horn. And we went out on a trail ride and we had to cross a brook. And I said, drop the reins and grab the horn. And by golly, this guy did it. And he stayed on. And, you know, he's humored it. He likes animals. He thinks it's all a little silly. I do think he thinks it's all a little silly. And he certainly would be appalled if he knew how much money sometimes gets spent. But doesn't always know. I again, fly fishermen, some of those reels are
they have
really,
some
really
good
expensive
investments up there too.
And he'll come back and he'll have broken another rod. And I'll say, how did you break another rod? Because those rods also, that's like a saddle right there.
Bamboo, custom made. Like they've got their own kind of tack shops. So.
And the guides are more expensive than any trainer or instructor we could ever hire. So I'm just saying.
Okay. That's good. And Shawna, do you play on Christmas Day with the ponies?
You know, it's kind of been all over the map, but a lot of times I think I kind of, like Rebecca said, you kind of give them the day off. And Heidi, you did too. Kind of, it is their holiday too. You know, you tend to think it's, you know, this is what we do with marine mammals. We changed what we did all the time. So we never did the same old thing all the time because that would just be, you know, kind of mundane. And so by sometimes having quiet days and sometimes busy days. And so I think it's nice to have, it's back to that time management, isn't it? You're like, okay, am I supposed to have time not to be with the horses and do other things? Time for family. So I think it's been all over the map, though, depending over the years of my situation. But more often than not, Christmas is the holiday.
So I'm going to ask you guys, I didn't warn you about this, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to just ask you guys to, if you can give one message to somebody. So you can give a holiday message to whoever you want to. We do a daily Winnie on the morning show. That's kind of our shout out to people. So I'm going to give you a chance to give a shout out to whoever you want to. Who wants to go first? Who's brave? Nobody.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll give a shout out to Jessie Hilligus. She is who I'm working with now, and she's the one who bred she's a small breeder here in Pennsylvania. So
is that the one we met at AHP?
Yes.
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 Okay, good.
So, yes, exactly. So Jessie has been really supportive and helpful and really kind of helped me transition to getting out there and doing clinics again and making things really exciting and fun. And we have our 2 babies that go places now and then, and hopefully we'll be coming to Ocala. So we should be able to maybe see you.
You better get over here to the studio when you come to Ocala, or I'm going to really be mad.
I will. I'll be there.
That's an order for all of you when you come to Ocala. So
we're coming in February, so we'll have to see you, Glenn. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to come over. Yeah, I'm only about 3 miles from the World Equestrian Center.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're real close to there. Yep. So Rebecca, do you have a message for somebody?
I'll give a shout out to Martha Cook, our managing director. She's not just my colleague, she's one of my best friends, and she had a really tough year, and she just lost her mom, who was 99.
Oh, wow.
So she's ready for a new year, and I'm going to wish her the very best in 2022.
Well, we're thinking about you, Martha, but I will say, if I can make it to 99, I'm going to be pretty happy.
Yeah.
So,
or will you?
Depends on whether he's running a boarding barn or not.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't think that's ever happening again. Heidi, do you have a message for anybody?
I'm going to give a shout out to Chris Brune at AHP because she takes care of all of us. And
she does.
She has been amazing and just been a great support for a long time since I first joined in, I think, 2000, in 1999, 2000. So that is huge. And my family, and I was thinking of my neighbors too. I'm going to give a shout out to Mark and Ellen Matthews and Tara Lucetti next door, because I do get to go do fun stuff because we help each other with our animals.
Terrific. And you're right about Chris. She does a tremendous job over there. And you know what? Putting up with a couple of hundred members, Equine Media, we're not opinionated at all. So, so she, by the way, this is Chris now right there.
Oh.
We have no opinions. We don't express our opinions vocally at all. Chris, you're a saint to put up with all of us. That's for sure. Well, I'm going to give my shout out to the listeners. You guys have been terrific.
Oh.
I was just mentioning before the show, I think I mentioned it on Horses in the Morning the other day, that we saw some record numbers last week in downloads that most podcasters would die for. So you guys are all been super supportive. We're seeing the numbers growing and growing. More and more of you listen to podcasts. So thank you for finding the Horse Radio Network. We have 21 different shows. We also have our own app. If it's easier, you can just go to Horse Radio Network in your app store, download our app, and it has all of our shows on there, including Equine Clicker 101, which I'm going to warn you about that one. A lot of people pick up podcasts with the latest episode. With that podcast, you want to go back to episode 1. It's chronological. So she will guide you through clicker training and positive reinforcement from the beginning, and then you're going to take these lessons and go out. This is a free course. We should have charged about $5,000 for this, actually.
I'm signing up, Shawna. I'm going to go listen in the morning.
So it's free if you do it tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to charge for it. So go get it on your podcast. Heidi, what time tomorrow are you going to sign up? Because I have to make sure I put the pay thing in first.
Right. Huh.
It's $5,000, 9:00 tomorrow morning.
Shawna,
But it
you
is.
got my back.
It's worth that. I mean, there's 50 lessons in there, which you would pay for if you're going to, go anyplace else. So go check it out. Equine Clicker 101. Nicole says she's going to check it out. Good for you, Nicole. Nicole, I won't charge you. I'll just charge Heidi, and then she'll cover yours. So you're good. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see y'all. Take care.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Fun.